Okay, I'm doing it. I'm looking at the USS Discovery and ships of its name. So, the USS Discovery is the titular ship of a series of the same name. However, the name itself has been present in Star Trek for much longer, though only in passing on screens. Honestly, I find that very surprising, as it's kind of an obvious name for an exploratory organisation such as Starfleet. So let's have a look at the lineage of the USS Discovery. Many seafaring vessels from the 17th century onwards called Discovery were part of the British Navy, as well as several that were not. The first HMS Discovery we can look at was one of 3 vessels back in the 1600s bearing the name in this century. Then in 1719 there was an HMS Discovery that vanished in the Arctic waters and was replaced in 1741. In 1776, for an expedition into the Pacific, a 1774 vessel was rechristened the Discovery, where it served under James Cook's management. It was scrapped in 1780. Then there was a vessel in 1789, which was used as a hospital and convict ship in 1798 until 1831. Then there is the 1874 HMS Discovery, which was a repurposed whaling vessel and used in a 1876 survey of the Arctic. In 1901, the HMS Discovery was the last wooden 3-mast vessel constructed and was a steamship designed specifically for scientific missions to the Arctic. This was Robert Falcon Scott and Ernest Shackleton's vessel and completed the so-called Discovery Expedition. When the First World War broke out, the vessel was commandeered by the Royal Navy and rechristened the RRS Discovery. Its nature as a science vessel was then utilised for militaristic purpose. I'm sure these parallels with the Star Trek Discovery show are not a coincidence. Eventually the vessel returned to scientific research until 1931, when it was then used as a training vessel, while the RRS Discovery 2 continued its work until 1962. Currently, there is an RRS Discovery in active research. We, of course, have the OV-103 NASA Shuttle Discovery. It was retired from service February 24, 2011, after a flight time of around a year in space. Its construction was finished in 1983 after 4 years of work. Moving into Trek's books now, and we have our first Starfleet ship launched, the Discovery NX-04. As the name suggests, this vessel was one of the same ilk as the Enterprise and Columbia, being launched as part of the second wave of NX-class vessels to push the limits of human exploration. It seems, as with the other 2 Warp 5 ships, they were all named after the NASA shuttles. Under the captaincy of Curtis, it was barely out of space dock when it responded to a distress call and was ambushed by Romulan vessels, being destroyed over Berengaria 7. In 2159, a ship with the registry Ncc 100 bore the name Discovery and was rather rudimentary in appearance, signifying its position as perhaps another Starfleet prototype. There was also a Daedalus class vessel after this with the name, likely launched in 2161 as part of Starfleet's new fleet, spurred on by the influx of new technologies from the formation of the United Federation of Planets. Apparently this vessel was decommissioned and is now a museum piece, much like the RRS Discovery. Then we have the 2255 USS Discovery Ncc 1031. In a tale that mirrors the RRS Discovery, this vessel was a Crossfield class designed specifically by Starfleet to undertake scientific research, along with its sister ship, the USS Glenn Ncc 1030. The vessel was then pressed into military service at the eruption of the Klingon Federation War in 2256, and its research co-opted for Starfleet's use, much to the chagrin of many a scientist. Details of this ship's exploits have been classified by Starfleet following its disappearance, apparently due to an experimental propulsion drive related explosion during a routine training exercise or something. I guess we'll never know what happened. There are references to a Constitution-class USS Discovery, which now seems unlikely unless it was a vessel renamed after the NCC 1031's disappearance. It's now not until the early 24th century that we find another USS Discovery, this one the NCC 3006, and apparently it was a Royal Sovereign class. Again, with this ship design, I have never heard of it, and now it crops up twice in 2 videos. In the mid-2360s, there was a Nebula-class starship called the USS Discovery Ncc 62049, under the command of Captain and Porticos. This ship was decommissioned prior to the Dominion War around 2370 to 71, although with the dire circumstances of the Federation at this time, I wouldn't be surprised if it was given a towel, a drink and then a slap on the arse and told to get back out there. Maybe under a different recommissioned name. By 2377, there was a Steamrunner-class vessel with the registry Ncc 52333, which saw combat in the Dominion War, where it was destroyed near Lycosa. However, the crew survived and were rescued by the USS Typhon. I wonder if the Steamrunner class was a choice as a homage to the famous Uss Discovery. Either way, the Steamrunner class was launched in 2369, so it seems to have had a decent life before its destruction, being predominantly utilised as intelligence and scout ships. This fits in nicely with the end of the Nebula-class Discovery and the launch of the next. In Star Trek Online, there is an Intrepid variant design called the Discovery class. True to the namesake of yore, this was a scientific vessel constructed for research and exploration. The game's details on this vessel go on to say that after the USS Voyager returned from its pan-galactic odyssey, Starfleet went back to the Intrepid design with renewed vigour, having shifted focus to other priorities during its absence. When they saw how above and beyond the Intrepid had performed in the USS Voyager, they decided to go back to the design and launch a newer, more advanced Intrepid style. One vessel of this type was the USS Apakah Ncc 91784, stationed in the Bajor sector. The name Discovery has been applied to many Starfleet ships, but seems to have a leaning towards scientific research and exploration, as the name would suggest, and I'm amazed at the parallels between these vessels. It's a nice change for this series to finally have a chance to look at some vessels that weren't solely based on military ships, and were actually founded with Starfleet's mission statement in mind, even if that's not the role they ended up being forced into. Thanks again for watching this history of the USS Discovery name, and I'll hope to see you next time for more Trek content. Until then, I've been Rick and I'll see you later. Goodbye.